story of revenge of K2. In the early 19th century, some mountaineers tried to climb the world's second highest mountain, the K2 mountain. They all got stuck in the deadly weather of K2, and no one of them came back. Everyone was desperate to know what happened to them. Then some other mountaineers went there, and in their summit attempt 50 years later, they found out the horrifying truth. This is the story of those mountaineers and the revenge of Katie. It was 1860 when a group of 5 mountaineers set out to conquer the mighty K2. Among them were 2 experienced British mountaineers, Charles Scott and Frederick Gardner, but even their expertise could not prepare them for what lay ahead. As they ascended the treacherous slopes of K2, the weather took a turn for the worse. A sudden storm swept across the mountain, trapping the climbers in an icy grip. For days they battled the elements, their hope of a successful summit attempt dwindling with each passing hour. But it wasn't just the harsh weather that challenged them. There was something else at play, something sinister that seemed to be targeting the climbers. They had heard tales of K2's unforgiving nature, but they had hoped that those stories were just myths. Now they were beginning to understand the truth. As their supplies dwindled, and the storm showed no signs of letting up, they realized that they might not make it. With heavy hearts, they made the agonizing decision to turn back, but fate had other plans for them. The descent proved to be just as treacherous as the ascent, and one by one, the climbers began to fall victim to the mountain's wrath. Charles Scott was the first to succumb to the mountain's deadly embrace. He slipped and fell, his body tumbling down the treacherous slopes and disappearing from view. Frederick Gardner, witnessing the tragedy, was overcome with grief and despair, but he had no time to mourn. He had to keep going for the sake of the others. With shaking hands, he helped the remaining climbers reach a sheltered cave, where they could take shelter from the raging storm outside. They huddled together for warmth, their faces etched with exhaustion and fear. As the days turned into nights, the climbers' hope began to fade. They were trapped in a battle against the elements, and the mountain seemed determined to claim them as its own. But their ordeal was far from over. Just when they thought the worst was behind them, another tragedy struck. One of the climbers, Horace Walker, lost his life in an unfortunate accident. The weight of their dwindling supplies and the bitter cold caused his backpack to fall, triggering an avalanche that swept him off his feet and crashed him into the rocks below. Grief-stricken and exhausted, the remaining climbers pressed on. The descent from K2 is considered to be as challenging as its ascent, and with their spirits broken and their bodies weakened by hunger and cold, they faced every challenge as a potential final test. The mountain seemed to be testing their resolve, pushing them to the very edge of their endurance. As they struggled to make their way down the treacherous slopes, their bodies grew weaker and more susceptible to the biting cold. Yet somehow they managed to drag themselves one step at a time, all while battling the haunting specters of their fallen companions. The trauma of losing their friends and the relentless assault on their physical and mental well-being took a heavy toll on their minds. Visions of their deceased friends haunted their waking moments, serving as a constant reminder of the unforgiving nature of the mountain. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they emerged from the icy clutches of K2. But their ordeal was not over yet. When news of their harrowing experience reached the outside world, people were both amazed and skeptical. Some believed the tales of their descent into madness, attributing it to the extreme conditions and the trauma they had endured. Others dismissed it as mere superstition, suggesting that it was nothing more than a figment of their exhausted imaginations. The world wanted to know what really happened to their missing companions, but the survivors were left with scars that ran deeper than the physical wounds on their bodies. The psychological impact of their traumatic experience continued to haunt them, a grim reminder of the unforgiving nature of K2 and the tragic fate of those who dared to challenge it. 50 years later, a team of mountaineers led by renowned adventurer George Band set out to conquer the same mountain. They were determined to succeed where previous attempts had failed, but as they climbed higher, they began to experience the same terrifying phenomena that had plagued the earlier expeditions. As they reached the treacherous part of the mountain, they encountered a horrifying sight that sent shivers down their spines. Etched into the rocks were the faded remains of a climber's camp, a silent testament to the fate of those who had come before them. It was a chilling reminder of the mountain's unforgiving nature. Among them was a rusted stove, a lonely sentinel guarding the remnants of a shattered dream. Its presence stirred a sense of foreboding in the hearts of the climbers, as if the mountain itself was warning them to turn back. Driven by curiosity and a thirst for answers, George Band and his team continued their ascent. They wanted to know what had happened to those brave souls who had attempted to conquer Katie before them. As they ventured further into the treacherous terrain, they discovered more clues to the fate of the missing mountaineers. They found a tattered journal chronicling the harrowing experiences of the early 19th century climbers. Its pages told a tale of despair, of men pushed to the brink of insanity by the mountain's relentless fury. Through the journal entries, the mountaineers of the past came to life, their hopes, their struggles, and their ultimate tragic demise. The entries spoke of a growing sense of dread, a feeling that the mountain itself was a living entity, vengeful and unforgiving. The journal became their guide, leading them through the treacherous landscape and revealing the secrets of Katie's wrath. The discovery of the journal and the eerie remnants of the climbers' camp shook the mountaineering world. It provided tangible evidence of the horrors that had unfolded on Katie's slopes, lending credence to the long-dismissed tales of madness and despair. The world finally acknowledged the harrowing reality of K2, a mountain that had claimed many lives and broken those who had dared to challenge its might. And so, the story of the revenge of K2 continued to echo through the annals of mountaineering history, serving as a cautionary tale for those who sought to conquer the world's most formidable peaks. For K2 was not just a mountain. It was a ruthless adversary, a silent sentinel that demanded respect and offered no quarter.